And now let's shift our focus to Afghanistan, where women took to the streets to protest against the Taliban. This is against another attack on their freedom. Earlier this month, the Taliban banned beauty salons, one of the last means of employment available to Afghan women. They were already barred from most forms of employment and education, and now the Taliban have decided to shut this refuge as well. But some brave Afghan women took to the streets of Kabul, demanding that they be allowed to feed their families. Of course, the Taliban are not ones to tolerate defiance. Here's what followed.
Since the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, there's been a continuous assault on the freedom of women. First, they were barred from attending schools, then colleges. Slowly, they were restricted from public spaces, like gyms, parks, and even fairs. They've also been stopped from working. The women politicians went first. Then, the Taliban began banning other jobs. At the beginning of this month, they banned another form of employment, beauty salons. Salons served multiple purposes for Afghan women. They offered a way to support families, with salon workers sometimes being the only working member in a household. The salons also brought some financial independence to Afghan women. And they were also one of the last remaining places they could be without men present. A place for women to gather and network away from the Taliban's prying eyes. Now, even that sanctuary is falling. The Taliban said all salons have to wind up by the end of this month. All the years of hard work put in by Afghan women is to be shuttered in a few days. And this fresh inflicted misery is what brought Afghan women out to the streets of Kabul yesterday. Some 50 salon workers gathered to protest. Work, food, and freedom. It sounds so basic, but it's a dream for Afghan women. A dream they're often violently woken up from. When the Taliban got word of the gathering, their enforcers descended upon the protesters. They fired guns into the air to scare off the women. Then they used fire hoses as makeshift water cannons. And they also used tasers. Imagine using tasers on dozens of women who just want to continue working, continue feeding their families.
The Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan must realize that there are many Afghan women who have no food. They are poor and have no one to take care of them. They themselves must work, and some of them having beauty salons, which is their only source of income. In my opinion, these salons should not be closed.
But the Taliban have no consideration for that. Their leader, Hibatullah Akhundzada, ordered salons shut, and the Taliban's Ministry for the Promotion of Virtue and Prevention of Vice issued the decree. The reasons are the usual. The Taliban thinks salons are un-Islamic. They said too much makeup prevented women from praying properly, and that some services offered by salons were prohibited by religion. Another explanation for the ban was that too much money spent on makeovers caused hardships for poor families, especially for the families of grooms during wedding functions, apparently. It is as ridiculous as it sounds, possibly to make weddings cheaper for Taliban fighters. It's not like the warlords in Kabul have been making lives economically better for Afghans. So it seems they're banning even mildly expensive things to make the situation look better. The women protesters wanted to have a discussion with the Taliban, maybe find some middle ground, but they were dispersed.
They dispersed our gathering. We, the women who remained here, are going to the United Nations and defend. Women, don't get separated, stay together.
But will the UN listen? Is anyone willing to do something about the plight of Afghan women? Or, much like their salons, will their hopes and futures be shut as well indefinitely?